Hello, chess fans. Welcome to another edition of Chess Chat, a program brought to you live from the Workers' Credit Union studios at Fitchburg Access Television. This program is produced by the Wachusett Chess Club at Fitchburg State University, a university which is now celebrating its 125th anniversary. The Wachusett Chess Club at the university meets every Wednesday evening from 6 to 11 at the McKay Complex at the university. And with me today, for today's program, is our award-winning director, Darren Dame of Fitchburg. He's assisted in the control room, the Bob Wilson control room, by longtime Wachusett Chess Club member and fellow resident, Brian Bigelow. And across from me is longtime chess player, chess author, Wachusett Chess Club statistician, and assistant webmaster, my colleague and friend, my co-host, Dave Couture of Westminster. Hello, Dave.
Hi, George. How are you?
Very good, Dave. Especially today, Dave, because we have exciting news for our Chess Chat fans. We are announcing to our Chess Chat viewers that Carissa Yip, our 2014 Wachusett Chess Club champion, is going to be awarded the International Master title by the World Chess Federation.
Right.
That's exciting news because Carissa has broken a number of records. What are some of the records that Carissa has broken?
So it was youngest U.S. female master.
Yes.
And then, expert,
yes. Expert.
And then youngest female master.
Yes.
And she just became the youngest U.S. women's GM.
Yes, yes, the women's, yes. She did become, this year, July of 2019.
Was she the youngest for that?
She was the youngest woman grandmaster. That's a title
in the US,
in the U.S., yeah.
But now this is actually an even
higher. This is a higher.
Yep.
The International Master title is a higher title than the Women Grandmaster title.
Right.
Okay. So what title remains for her to break? Is there a title that she's still?
One more record to break, which would be the youngest female grandmaster in U.S. history. And she's got about 12 years to break that.
So who holds the record?
That would be Irina Krush.
Okay, the former U.S. women's champion.
Yeah, many times. She's like six-time champion.
When did Irina Krush, who was a women's champion, she became U.S. women's champion when she was
She was 14 for the first time.
So she has that record right now, and Carissa can't break that because Carissa's now 16. Okay.
The advanced age of 16. Yeah.
So how did she now gain this title of International Master, which is going to be awarded in December at the next World Chess Federation Congress? She won it by performing at the 13th Annual Spice Cup, which was held actually at the Days Inn in St. Louis. Now, we have some photos of from that event. Let's show actually the first photo of Carissa Yip. She's in this photo. We're going to show Carissa Yip is standing on the right. She's holding a cake, and what is written on that cake she's holding?
It says I am.
I am. What's I am? I am
means International Master.
Oh, it stands for International Master.
I guess Susan had that cake made up for her.
And Susan Polgar, who organizes the Spice Cups every year, this is the 13th year she's done this.
Yeah, it stands for Susan Polgar
Institute
of Chess
for Chess Excellence.
Chess Excellence.
Okay,
that's Spice.
Now, Susan Polgar was women's world champion in 1996. She held it until 1999. And then in 1997, she was in the United States. She opened the Polgar Chess Center in Forest Hills, New York.
Yeah.
And you know who actually was there as the manager of the Susan Polgar Chess Center in Queens, New York?
Yeah.
He was our former Wachusett Chess Club champion, Stefan Grzadowicz of East Templeton.
Yep.
So we have a connection with Susan Polgar, with Stefan Grzadowicz being the manager there when she opened the studio. And then Then as she closed it, she opened it in was it 1997? She closed it in 2009 and then moved to Lubbock, Texas, to Texas Tech University.
That's right.
And ran a chess program there. And then since 2012 or 30, I think it's 2012, she has been running the Susan Polgar Institute for Chess Excellence at Webster University in St. Louis.
Yep.
So she has done a lot as far as training young, talented chess players,
Yep.
which she's now doing at Webster University. All right, now can we go back to that photo? I want to just identify who the other person is on that photo. On the left, standing there on the left, is the chief tournament director of the 13th annual Spice Cup. His name is Andre Botes. Now you said you knew Alexandra Botes?
Right, so they're related to him
They're
somehow.
related. There's a relation.
She's a commentator on chess.com.
Okay, there's a website just like, and they're from Canada.
Right. Yep.
But they live in Oregon. Andre Botes on the left there does a lot of directing of scholastic chess tournaments, especially in the state of Oregon, where they now live. Okay, now we have some other photos of Carissa as we talk about Carissa. You know, Carissa actually, you know, what does she do in the Spice Cup? Well, there she is holding a queen, because she is the queen of chess as far as, but she played in a field of 42 players. The Spice Cup had 43 initially, but one player didn't show up. And she was paired against, in the first round, against a master from Texas. There's another photo of Carissa at the board. And she got a forfeit win in the first round.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, she got a forfeit win in the first round. And she thought her chances to maybe get an international master norm would have been hurt by getting a forfeit win, but no. The World Chess Federation allows for one exception, one missed game like that. So, but then she continued to play where she ended up with a plus score at the end.
Yep.
She had 5 points out of 9, possible 9. So, and she faced 4 of the 6 runners-up. But we should mention who won the tournament. Okay, the winner of the tournament was a child prodigy, who was a child prodigy years ago, who's now 20 years old. His name is Akshat Chandra. He's a grandmaster. He was born in Livingston, New Jersey, but then at the age about 9.5, he and his family went to visit India, where his parents were from. They went back to India to visit, and they decided to stay for about 4 years. And Akshat played a lot of chess in India, and then came back to the United States in early 2013 when he was like 14 years old, and started playing all over the place. You know, weekend tournaments, big major tournaments, the Marshall Chess Club in New York. Akshat Chandra won this tournament, scoring 6.5 points out of 9. Now, let me read to you actually who the runners-up. And I told you that Carissa faced 4 of them, you know, in her way, on her way to gain 5 points. Now, she in the second round, in the 6th round, let's put it this way. I'm trying to find out actually what round she's playing different people. For example, a key win for her was Grandmaster John Burke. John Burke, who's in New Jersey, she beat in round 3. He's one of the top grandmasters of the country. And then she drew actually a grandmaster from Ukraine, another Ukrainian grandmaster, Dmitry Komarov. All right, anyways, the fact that she faced the strongest field, she had the toughest competition, and she was able to do well against them, was very good. But what we're going to present to our viewers, Dave, is her win, or not a win. Maybe she could have won it, but it would have been difficult. She faced the highest rated player in the tournament. And who was that? That was Grandmaster Ilya Nizhnik of Ukraine. That came in round 6. She's there. And I think she commented that she never faced Nizhnik. That was her first encounter with Grandmaster Nizhnik.
Right. She said she had followed his career.
Well, she was well aware of Grandmaster Nizhnik, because you know what Grandmaster Nizhnik did in August of this year, 2019? No. He won the U.S. Open.
Okay.
Which, you know, that's quite an accomplishment when you win the U.S. Open. So we're going to present to our viewers her game from round 6 against Grandmaster Nizhnik, who's winning tournaments left and right in this country. Yep. So Carissa had white in the game.
Yep.
How did she open the game against Grandmaster Nizhnik?
She opened with e4.
Okay, a good opening move, yep. Very popular. And what Nizhnik did was respond with e5, the pawn to e5. Right. Okay, so we see that being now played on the screen. We will see now that pawn, well, it's going to happen
momentarily.
Momentarily. We'll see it. There we go. Now we see pawn to e5 played. So what did Carissa do next?
Plays knight f3.
Okay, I'm watching
attacking the pawn.
Okay, attacking the pawn. Now normally one would defend the pawn that's under attack. But right. What black did here was play the knight on g8 to f6. Knight f6. He's not defending the pawn, he's counterattacking.
Right.
Now, what is this? What is this defense? Does this have a name?
Called the Petrov.
This is Petrov's defense. Also, most of the world knows this as the Russian defense. Now, do you know why it's called the Petrov's defense? I know.
I don't.
All right, okay. I will let our viewers and you know that this is named after the first great Russian master, in fact, Russian chess master, Alexander Petrov, who, by the way, founded the first chess club in Russia, in St. Petersburg. And this defense was named after him because he analyzed this back in the early 1800s, in mid-1840s. Yeah. So there was another player, another Russian who analyzed it with him, but the other Russian, whose name was Karl Jaenisch, who was born in Finland, by the way, because Finland was, then a Grand Duchy when Karl Jaenisch was born. He said, no, Petrov is a much better player than I am. Let him have the name attached to him. So this is called the Petrov's defense because Alexander Petrov was indeed the stronger player of the two. Anyways, so what did Carissa do next on her next move? Does she take the pawn? She can take the pawn.
That in fact is the most common.
Knight takes e5, the pawn on e5.
Knight takes e5 is the most common.
Right. So what did she do?
But instead, she just pushes.
Okay, we see it being played on our board here. Now, this pawn to d4, which now double attacks the pawn on e5, is something that the first world champion, who was Wilhelm Steinitz, recommended. He always played this more than 100 years ago, more than 125 years ago, when he was world champion. He always recommended, this is the move you want to play against the Petrov's defense. So what did Nizhnik do? In response, does he take the pawn on d4 with his pawn on e5? No. What he does is take the pawn on e4. Knight takes e4 is what Nizhnik does. Okay. So we see that being played right now. So Carissa's next move, move 4, what does she do?
She plays bishop to d3, developing the bishop, attacking the knight.
Okay, so the bishop now attacks the knight. Okay, we see it coming out from f1 to d3. Knight is now under attack, and what Nizhnik does in response to that is play the pawn to d5, defending the knight on e4. Okay, we'll see that. We saw that just now played. Carissa's next move, what is it? She plays move 5th move.
Now she plays knight takes e5.
Now she takes the pawn on e5 with the knight. Knight takes e5 is her move. Now, here is where Nizhnik, black, plays the knight on b8 to d7. Now, you have actually some notes, some annotations that Carissa made. She annotated it. Right. She annotated this game for the United States Chess Federation.
That's right.
Which viewers actually could see online, but we're going to present it to our viewers here. What did she say about this move, knight d7?
She said that this basically allows a forced draw, but she says she didn't know the line.
Okay.
And so I guess if she had known the line, she probably would have gone for it, given that she's playing the highest rated player.
Exactly, but she didn't. But she admitted she didn't know this variation of knight d7.
And I don't think it's at all obvious. But so it would start with knight. Knight takes on f7.
Yeah, right. And the king would have to take.
The king takes. Then the queen comes out. Check.
Oh, and then wow, I see problems. This pawn is also under attack. It will be attacked.
Right. She could just keep checking.
Oh, okay. So this is dangerous. I can see why.
She could have basically, I think, checked.
She could have done that.
So
that could have she could have forced the draw.
She could have forced the draw
if she had known this continuation of knight takes f7, sacking the knight. But she admitted she never knew this variation. So what does she play instead after Nizhnik played knight to d7?
Well, this is kind of interesting because she plays knight to d2.
Does she have a note? Does she?
She doesn't have a note on it, but in the database I was looking at,
yes,
this is played almost all the time.
Just taking the knight on d7.
Just knight takes.
Okay.
And this is played very rarely.
Okay. Has been played, but
very rarely.
It's a rare move. Okay. So Nizhnik, what does he do after she plays knight d2? Well, what he does is he takes knight takes e5. He takes the knight on e5 with his knight.
Yep.
So he eliminates that knight. We're going to see it now. Yeah, we see it being played. And what does
and then recaptures
the pawn on d4 takes d takes e5. Okay, we see that. So that knight is gone. So now Nizhnik does not want to lose his knight on e4 because it's attacked twice.
Right.
And it would cost him a pawn.
Right.
So he redeploys the knight back to c5 and attacks. Look, there's also an attack on the. If he wants to eliminate that light squared bishop of Carissa, he's attacking it right now. So what does Carissa do in response to that?
So she pulls the bishop back to e2.
Back to bishop e2. Okay. All right. So it's Nizhnik's move. It's his 8th move, and look what he comes up with. Well, other players would have come up with the same move presented this position. He plays queen to g5. What is his threat? What are his threats? Does he have threats?
Well, I guess the main threat is possibly taking there, and I guess even if she were to castle, the bishop can come down here.
Right. But the pawn on g2 would have to be defended, which it could be.
Right. So.
But the threat. But there's two threats. Yes, the pawn on g2, which is undefended, is attacked. But the pawn on e5 is also attacked. So we have two pawns attacked, and they cannot both be defended.
Right.
So Carissa makes the decision to do what after queen g5?
Right. So she does castle.
She castles.
She does castle, and she said that.
There's a note. What did she say?
She says that she thought that this would have been interesting if she had played knight here.
Oh, and allowed
after the queen takes,
and then the rook over to attack the queen.
So she said she thought that would have been interesting. I think
she must have considered that.
She did.
But she did. But in the end, she rejected it.
I think it would have been a little better.
Okay.
It would have ended up a little better if she had done that.
Okay. But instead, she castled right away.
She did castle.
Okay. By castling, Carissa now gives Black, Nizhnik, a pawn. He now wins a pawn by taking queen takes e5. He's now a pawn ahead.
And she did comment on this.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if she also was expecting the bishop to come down, but she just said she was initially very surprised by this move. She said, but I think it should be equal if both sides find the best moves.
Okay. All right.
So she said that move surprised her.
So she expected actually the bishop to come to h3.
She didn't say what she expected. She did say that was a surprising move.
Okay.
Which is good to hear that even players at her level can be surprised.
Right.
Because.
So what did Carissa do now?
So now she plays rook e1, which has quite a threat.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Because now she goes here. Check.
Oh yes. Threatening to win the queen. With the attack, with the check on the king, the queen would be lost.
Yep.
All right, so Nizhnik sees this, and he now he could move the queen. No, let's put we have a blocker here, right? Do we have the?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, bishop is on e2. Yep. All right, so in this position, Nizhnik realizes he's on an open file with this queen, which is dangerous. Right. He could move his queen off, but instead he brings his knight back as a blocker.
Right.
Plays the knight to e4. All right, so he blocks. All right.
Yep.
So. What does Carissa do now? It's her 11th move.
It's her 11th move, but you would want, I think, here was the point you would want to comment on.
Yes, before we actually play Carissa's 11th move, let's show our viewers something very instructive.
It's very instructive, and it's,
let's see it.
I've fallen to this sort of thing before.
Okay, so we're going to be focused, our cameras will be on our board. If a beginner would do something maybe like this, bring the pawn up to f3 and attack the knight on e4, which would be a blunder. Why would this be a blunder? Because Black would be able to play queen d4 check.
Right.
And the king cannot move to f1.
Right. If the king went here, it would be checkmate in one move.
It would be queen right here, checkmate.
So we can't do that.
So the queen is forced to go to
h1.
Now the knight here goes to f2 check.
Which forces the king back.
King has to come back to g1.
Now the somewhat surprising move,
And now here's the surprise move. It's the knight h3 double check.
Right.
Both the knight and the queen attack the king. Again, the king cannot go to F1 because of mate.
Same reason, right.
Same reason. So the king has to go back to H1, and now we have the beautiful move,
right.
Queen G1 check, forcing the rook to take. And now we have Knight F2 checkmate.
And we call that a smothered mate.
Yes, and every serious chess player we should know how to do it.
That pattern, yeah.
That pattern, a smothered mate. Okay, so now we have to get back to the actual game.
It will come up in your chess life at some point.
Okay, so we're castled here. We'll put her back castled.
Castled, yep.
And the rook is already on E1.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so we're in this position. So she would not play F3. She's not a beginner.
Right.
She's very advanced. What did Carissa play on her?
She plays bishop to D3. Which again is, well, you've got this.
Yes. But look what she's doing. How many times is she attacking this knight?
So three attackers.
3 attackers, and it's only defended twice.
Twice.
So Nishnik realizes, wait a minute.
And it can't move away.
No,
can't move away, otherwise the queen's lost.
So Nishnik realizes he has to defend this knight again.
Yep.
So he plays bishop to F5, which adds another defender on the knight on E4. Okay, so we see that. We see the bishop now on F5. And what does Carissa do now?
Carissa plays knight F3.
Attacks the queen.
Attacking the queen and opening up the path for to develop that bishop.
So the queen has to move. Okay, now what Nizhnik played now was to move the queen to F6. Now, he could have moved it to D6.
And that's what Carissa said she was calculating.
She was expecting this?
She calculated that, and then she was going to play the knight here.
So, yes.
Attacking the bishop.
Oh, yeah, bring the knight here and attack the bishop. But this must have surprised her then. She didn't expect this.
Yep, she just said this queen D6 is what she was calculating.
Yeah,
so
all right.
Queen F6.
All right, so Nizhnik plays queen F6. So what does Carissa do now? It's her 13th move?
Yep.
How does she continue here?
So here she plays bishop to B5, check.
Check.
And she said that another candidate move, and I think the better move, she had looked at bishop here.
This is a better move. She analyzed this?
Yeah, she said she thought thought bishop to B5 was better.
Oh.
So a computer disagrees and says.
So the computer actually pointed out to her that this was better than what she played.
But this is tough to calculate, you know.
No,
with that clock
but she must have considered it.
She did consider it,
and then rejected it. And decided on bishop B5 check. So let's play that bishop B5 check.
Yep.
Okay. So Nizhnik, in response to bishop B5 check, blocks the check by pushing the pawn to C6. Okay. Sorry. So now the bishop is under attack. Now this next move must have surprised Nizhnik. What did Carissa play that surprised Grandmaster Ilya Nizhnik?
We don't know if he was surprised, but queen takes D5.
Okay.
But now Carissa was surprised because she said she was expecting rook to D8 here.
Oh, right, attacking the queen.
That's what she expected. She said she completely missed what he did. So
she was surprised that he didn't do this.
Yeah.
Attacking the queen.
Yeah.
So what he did instead, no, it's his move.
Yeah.
So after queen takes it, you know what he did?
Yeah.
He played bishop to E7. I guess he it looks like he wants the castle as fast as possible by playing the bishop to E7, and also provide another blocker on the E file.
Exactly.
So, but Carissa thought his playing rook to D8 was a stronger move for him. I mean,
it's what she expected.
She expected.
She didn't. No. She said she didn't expect this.
All right. So what did Carissa do now? Okay, as we move along here.
Her comment on this, and I'm not sure why she said this was a tricky move that I had to blitz out. And I'm not sure why she thought she had to blitz this out because it can't be in any time trouble right now.
Okay. So knight D2 was
she said she had looked. She had looked at rook capturing,
and then the queen that is giving up the rook for 2 minor pieces. Right?
Yeah, but she thought that if she took here, he wasn't going to take back. He was going to castle.
Oh, castle instead.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why. Okay, so that's why she rejected rook takes the knight on E4.
Yeah. So she played knight D2.
And now she's got a triple attack on the knight.
Yep.
Okay. So here is where Nizhnik takes that knight off. Knight takes D2. Isn't that what he played?
That's what he played. She said she was worried about knight takes F2.
All right, okay. But he didn't do it.
Yeah.
He played knight takes d2 instead. And what does she do instead?
So she just recaptures.
Recaptures. Okay, bishop takes d2. Yeah. Now, a move that Nizhnik could have played earlier with Carissa expected.
Yeah.
He now plays rook d8, attacking in fact, he's x-raying the queen.
Right.
The queen is now x-rayed, and looks what's behind the queen, the bishop.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So this looks very uncomfortable. This looks very.
Carissa commented that she thought if he had castling would have been best for him.
It would have been better for him to just simply castle and then play the rook over to d8 after get his king safely away. All right. So what does Carissa do now? Her queen is under attack. What does she do here after rook d8? Yeah.
So she actually just takes with check.
Oh, wow. Rook takes e7 check. Well, that rook has, he initially has to take that rook. You can't,
right, and she commented that she thought that
he would take with the king.
would be too dangerous because she'd come over here.
Oh,
check.
yes, because the queen takes here, allows the rook over e1 check.
Rook.
It was she considered
that would be too dangerous to take.
So
with
that's
the king.
why he took with the. That's why he took with the queen.
Right.
All right, but he took queen takes. That's what he did. Queen takes e7.
Right. So now the queen's no longer defending this bishop.
And now what does
so Carissa plays queen takes the bishop on f5.
Okay. All right. So here is where after she took the queen takes f5. Well, Nizhnik says, wait a minute. I'm attacked. Look, I got two pieces. I got a choice of two pieces here to take. He chose not to take the bishop with the pawn on c6 this way, but instead he took rook takes the bishop on d2.
Right.
Well, okay, so he's now the exchange ahead. In this position, you got two rooks
for the
versus,
moment, yeah.
And he's also, the pawns have been equalized because she was able to get her pawn back. So what does Carissa do in response to this after rook takes d2?
It's kind of a clever move. Bishop to d3.
Now
this rook is trapped.
This rook cannot move.
Can't move.
All right. All right. So you know what Nizhnik did when after she played bishop d3, he realized he's going to lose that rook.
He's going to lose the rook
because if she brings this queen to f4, it's going to be taken.
It's got no place.
There's no way to defend that. Or he realized, okay, I will now take that bishop with the rook. Right. Rook takes d3.
Yep.
And it was at this point that they agreed to a draw.
They agreed to a draw.
Because we actually,
Carissa's probably just going to recapture.
And we actually have,
and now,
equal, materially, it's
3 pawns against 3 pawns.
Right. It's
completely even.
So they came to terms and agreed that this would be a draw.
I'm sure Carissa was happy to get a draw against the highest rated player in the tournament. So.
Exactly, very much. So she did very well. She faced the toughest competition is this 13 Spice Cup in St. Louis. Now, do you actually know when Carissa joined the Wachusett Chess Club? I looked it up. I mean,
okay.
You know how old she was when she joined?
I was thinking she was like 9.
No, not that old.
Not
seven years old. She made her debut at the Wachusett Chess Club on December 1st, when she was 7 years old? 2010. Yeah, she was born in 2003. So she was 7 years old. She made her, and you know what the tournament she played in, the first tournament? The George Sturgis Memorial, who's actually, George Sturgis was the first president of the United States Chess Federation, also president of the Massachusetts State Chess Association in the 1930s. But you know what tournament we're playing right now?
George Sturgis.
We're playing the George Sturgis. It's the 5th anniversary of her debut.
We should mention, if the sound is still on, that Brian Bigelow, our cameraman, has, I think, a winning record against Carissa.
Well, he defeated Carissa in round 2 of that tournament. But you hold the distinction of being the last person to defeat Carissa at the club. You did that, what year was that? Do you recall?
That was, I don't know. It was.
You played. It was the Reggie.
It was probably about 5 years ago.
It was 2015. The Reggie January 2015. You beat Carissa Yip. Never going to happen again.
That's right.
Thank you, Chess Chat fans, for watching this great game that Carissa Yip drew with Grandmaster Ilya Nizhnik of Ukraine. We'll see you next time on Chess Chat.